Hi there, I'm Mila Sipka, and this is the Apatros Review. Now, this being the first review for my 2022 season, which is actually my fourth season of the Apatros Review, I decided to start off by reviewing a classic turkey of a film. And this episode will take a look at Robot Holocaust. And by the way, I actually watched this film on YouTube because I can't find a DVD of it and wasn't able to download it, so just watch it on YouTube. And actually, it's available on YouTube both in its original full negative 4:3 frame and also in a 720 progressive widescreen print from MGM. So if you look it up on YouTube, you'll find it. But they're all age restricted, so you better be over 18. Anyway, now Robot Holocaust was one of the very first direct-to-video films. It came out. It's actually a U.S. Italian co-production, and it came out in the U.S. on video on the Wizard Video label on the 20th of January 1987. Then in Japan, I believe theatrically, on the 26th of February 1987, and in Australia on VHS on the 29th of September 1988. Now it was directed and written by Tim Kincaid, and then produced by his wife at the time, Cynthia DePaula. The cast includes Norris Kolf, Nadine Hartstein, J. Bus von Ornsteiner, Angelica Jaeger, and Rick Gianassi. Yes, Sanchi Kabuki Man is also in this film. Now, the start of the direct-to-video market started around 1986 when Empire head honcho Charles Band decided to create a new market making films purely made for the VHS market, resulting in him creating the Wizard Video label and allowing low-budget filmmakers to produce ultra-low-budget films that he could issue out on VHS, thereby giving him exclusive rights to those films and getting to jump on the theatrical distributors by using your average family business small video store to rent out these VHS releases to the fans and marketing them purely by word of mouth, and a little bit of advertising in horror magazines. For his first round of direct-to-video titles, Band hired Tim Kincaid, a pioneer in his own right, having been responsible for starting the gay hardcore erotica genre in the early 1970s. Kincaid, by that point, settled down with a wife and kids, and decided to try his hand at a legit movie scene, or at least this is as legit as it gets. And Band's offer of allowing him to make cheap movies destined purely for the VHS market seemed like a good idea at the time. But after making about a half dozen films, all of which were largely dismissed and ignored by the mainstream critics of the day, and getting their asses kicked by the few critics that did watch them, Kincaid abandoned this market by the late 1980s and returned to gay hardcore erotica, where he remains to this day, directing under the name Joe Gage. Robot Holocaust is one of the lowest performers in Kincaid's filmography, and one of the worst post-apocalyptic sci-fi films of the 1980s, even getting outclassed by the worst of the Italian 1980s post-apocalyptic films that were still being made by that point. The story is just a vague mishmash of elements that should have worked if Kincaid had allowed somebody else to write a script for him. The Earth has been devastated by a massive robot rebellion in the year 2033, only 11 years away, resulting in only one city remaining, New York, renamed New Terra, and is populated by a few remaining humans called air slaves, and ruled with an iron fist by the organic artificial intelligence, the Dark One, who is served by an incompetent female android named Valeria. Oh, she could be a cyborg, I'm not sure. Nah, she's probably an android. And a small number of seriously down-market combat robots. In addition to breaking their backs in manual labor for the Dark One, the air slaves spend their free time holding gladiatorial contests, where the winners are sent to the Dark One's power station for an unspecified reward, only to be killed instead. One day, a nomad named Neo, long before the Matrix, who is immune to the poison air that surrounds New Terra, joins up with a friendly pickpocket freebot named Clayton. Kind of interesting because the Red Dwarf that came out at the time had a robot called Crichton. Interesting. And a female rebel who has come to destroy the Dark One in order to carry out a quest to infiltrate the power station and defeat the Dark One. Along their way through the ruins of New York, which includes the World Trade Center still standing, they recruit female feminist Amazonians living in Central Park, and together they mount an assault on the power station, while Valeria's growing incompetence and suppressing the rebellion seriously begins to get on the Dark One's nerves. To call Robot Holocaust one of the worst B films of the 1980s is kind of redundant, given every fan of the cheapest Z movies of that glorious decade knows what kind of hits Tim Kincaid is capable of, but it still needs to be noted. Otherwise, I wouldn't have this episode. Kincaid stages the action just like one of his many gay hardcore flicks, with its sparse fights extremely badly choreographed, and the visual effects are so fucking cheap, even the Italians will be laughing their heads off at this. I tend to mark acting differently from other critics. I base my criticisms of actors solely on whether their performances are convincing. But here I see that nobody in the cast makes even the slightest effort at acting. Well, maybe for two exceptions. One, Angelica Jaeger, who plays the female android Valeria, her sole stab at effort being the atrocious fake European accent she puts on. Although without that effort, her acting is as bad as everyone else's. And two, the best performer in the cast being the actor who plays Clyde, the good robot. His performance actually convinces the viewer that he's a rundown robot of hard gold. Although I don't know who provides his voice, if it's a suit actor, he does a decent job with his enthusiasm. Future Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD star Rick Gianassi, who also appears in quite a few of these Kincaid films, also appears as Torque, the robot with a head that resembles what you would get if you cross a T-800 Terminator and a skeleton with a prawn, or shrimp for the Americans out there. And the guard bots have unconvincing bodysuits. Although Valeria's robot face, once she loses her skin, appears to be decent enough for a cheapo robotic makeup job. As is the case with Tim Kincaid's other genre films of this caliber, films like Breeders, Mutant Hunt, The Occultist, there's really no reason to watch this unless you're a bad movie masochist with a fair degree of patience. The film is very slow and not much occurs in action in front of things. That being said, for those masochists who do watch this, it will provide enough material for your heckling skills. You don't have to be a professional heckler to land riffing blows in this one. Now for gore nudity. There's a smattering of extremely low-fi gore effects, mainly laughably unconvincing severed heads, and the only nudity consists of Angelica Jaeger, clad only in her panties, enjoying the pleasure machine, which is basically a booth where she steps in and fills up a plasma globe followed by two topless dancers, one man and one woman. The boobs of both Jaeger and the topless female dancer being visible for about a minute or so. Be warned that some prints of this film had this scene omitted. But actually, the two prints I saw on YouTube that posted this review, both of them have the scene in it. Like the film Uncut in NTSC runs about 79 minutes, a little bit over that. And if you find a print that's less than 79 minutes in NTSC, then you know it's a cut version. Anyway. Alright, so now the verdict. Robot Holocaust gets the dreaded D-, 1 out of 10, meaning it's atrocious. Now, about this film, there hasn't been any DVD releases of this film except one in Italy, which is a multi-regional disc. So if you actually find that Italian disc, get it. If you're a DVD fan. But actually, if you're a Blu-ray fan, Scorpion actually released it on a limited edition Blu-ray with some nice artwork, some good extras, and if you want to get it, just go for that. Me, I'm not into Blu-ray, so pass. But anyway, this is just a really bad film. In fact, it's probably one of Kincaid's worst films. Okay, so Robot Holocaust gets a D-, 1 out of 10. It's atrocious. Okay, now I do not do requests, but if you have any questions about DVDs, just hit me up in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. Hope you guys are staying safe, take it easy, and I know Omicron is kind of taking over the world, but hopefully we'll fight back. Okay guys, take it easy and see ya.